So, welcome back, students. Am I audible to all?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Okay, so still your number is 15, so we can wait 1 or 2 more minutes. So then we'll start. Okay, so now number is quite good, so we can start. Okay, so till now we have talked about different vectors and their property, and in this previous lectures we talked about the construction of your plasmid-based vector, how this is being constructed, and among them the most important one is going to be your PBR322. In the PBR32, how we bring the important features that we need uh, for the construction that we need that are required for a vector. That includes the origin of replication and followed by your markers. And after that, in the last class also we talked about one another type of the vector that called the expression vector, or that we're calling the transcription vector. So in which transcription is transmitted to occur. So the gene that you're cloning that have to express itself means you have to transcribe, and then you can go for the translation also. This is PGM 3Z is going as an example of that. So for that transcription, the primary requirement is the promoter site. As have you studied in previous semester, I think, about the operon system, lac operon and tryptophan operon. And in that operon, you also said that upstream and the downstream sequences are there. So upstream means from the start site, and the downstream means after the start site. So upstream sequence going to be one your promoter operator. So these are going to be your sequences which you require before your start site, and these sequences you need to for the recognition your RNA polymerase is going to recognize these sequences and to start your transcription. It is more or less similar to your origin of replication, which is a site your DNA polymer recognize or your primer recognize to start replication. So this is about your PGM. So in detail, we may talk about when we are going to talk about the expression vector. So now come to the next class of vector that we are going to use, that you have to study or you have to use in your future research. That is based on the bacteriophages. So bacteriophages, as we mentioned, that they are the viruses of the bacteria. So they also we can use. So what property you desire in them. So all those properties that we are talking about in case of the plasmid, you definitely be there. So first thing, it must be replicating. So definitely going to be origin of replication should be there. And when you talk about your M13 and lambda phases, replication is not as simple as we were referring in case of the bacteria or in the plasmid. So we need to all several other essential enzymes also required for its replication. So fast DNA molecule generally carries several genes that are essential for replication, include genes coding for the component of phase protein code. So the capsid that we are referring, so we need also those genes which make which are going to help you in the formation, in the packaging of your DNA. So all these genes also you need in that case, and alteration or deletion of any of these genes will impair or destroy the replicability of your vector. And further, one more thing, that much less freedom is there to modify DNA molecules, and generally fast cloning vector only slightly different from whatever the parent virus you are having. So the only the change that you are going to do when you are making them, the lethality of that fast might be those which are causing to the lethality. You may remove them, but other than that, there is no much scope in removing the genes that are present in your fast viruses. Okay, so then to have to construct the things. The problem in the constructing fast vector is restricted by considering M13. So M13 is a fast virus. So M13 genome is 6.4 kilobase per in length, so it's a very small virus by the genome size. Whereas compared to if you're talking the lambda phage, it is quite large in size. So most is taken up by 10 closely packed genes. So these 10 closely packed genes are there. So what are those genes? 1, 2, 3 as the number 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are segregate, means they are not in sequence. The reason behind that they are not sequenced because the number that is given to these genes based on the how they're being discovered. So who got discovered first, you give number first, and so on. So most of these are taken up by 10 closely packed genes, each essential for replication. So average of this gene you required for the replication. So in such case, the removal thing you can't do. So there is only a single 507 nucleotide intrinsic sequence. So this intrinsic sequence is there, that IS, that this IS is there, that if you see. So this IS is the one that is not necessary. So you can play with this IS. Play with this IS means if you want to remove it, you can remove this only. And if you want to incorporate or if you want to change it so that your multiple cloning sites can be inserted, so you can play with this sequence. Otherwise, you can't do any modification in these 10 genes because they are necessary for the viral replication. Okay, so into which DNA could be inserted. So that's why I mentioned that you can or you can disrupt it. So that you can go with. Okay, so this is only this scope is there with you. So now I want to construct. So the first vector that being constructed was on the basis of MP13 bacteriophage based, that is MP13 MB1. So what property it have? So the first step in the construction of the vector is to introduce a LACZ gene. So this LACZ gene is the same as you were talking about in case of your plasmid. This is going to serve you as a marker for the selection. So if you whether your gene been cloned or not, so the insertional disruption is going to lead if you are going to clone in within this site. So where you have to place this gene, you can introduce this into the intrinsic sequence, that is the 570 bases long. This M13 is a single stranded virus, so you can single stranded DNA molecule is there, so you can refer in the bases, but when it is replicating, in the replicative form it is double stranded. Okay, so when you include this, this gave rise to the M13MP1. This forms blue plaque on X-gal agar. So this is a thing that we as mentioned. So this is a one, this is a gene. So in this restriction and the ligation of LAGZ gene you are going to do, and is the LAGZ gene you are going to further going to insert your restriction sites. So where you can also can say multiple cloning site. So what it contained? It contained hexanucleotide GGATTC near the start of this gene, so that you can use for the cloning. Okay. So next thing is now a single nucleotide change would like to make GATTC, which is an EcoR1 site. So previously this site, as you mentioned, GGATTC is there. So you can GGAATTC, you can if you change it, so GAATTC, it's become the recombinant site for the EcoR1. So the intrinsic sequence you can alter, so you can introduce a restriction site, so the EcoR1 site is being introduced here. So how to introduce these changes? So various mutagens and mutagenic reactions are there, or site-specific mutagenesis is there. So using them you can induce such variation. Okay, so when you cause this variation, so you incorporate the EcoR1 sites. First, what you did first, this is lineage-wise how it is going. This MP1, you introduced LAGZ genes. So LAGZ genes, if you incorporate, then you call it as a MP1. Now you are changing it and introducing a EcoR1 site, then you call it as a M13 MP2. So this is simply, so at the initiation of EcoR1 site, EcoR1, we generated the EcoR1 site, and this is in vitro mutagenesis that you perform. So now next thing is further you need to do much more modification. That modification that's slightly altered LAGZ gene at 6 codon. Now specify the asparagine instead of aspartic acid. So one more mutation is there. You can see that GAT that you modify this codon, and now this is coding for the asparagine. So this is a this modification that you perform in the EcoR1 site that you incorporated. This incorporation of EcoR1 site leads to changing the code, that is aspartic acid to the asparagine. Aspartic acid and asparagine modification, simply you can say that earlier it was COOH, but now it is CONH2. So that is the asparagine. So it is a amide, and previous one was, this is acid-amide, asparagine, and aspartic acid is a acid. You can see where this change is being done. So this is site that we're referring. So thing, as you can note that you are modifying this LAGZ genes, but this modification doesn't affect the activity of your enzymes. So beta galactosidase enzyme produced by cell infected with the MP13 is still perfectly functional. So it is not changing the functionality, because if you are, when you are modifying your gene, and this gene is going to play a role in your screening. So screening, as we mentioned, that we are going to perform on the basis of insertional inactivation. So when the gene got inserted in at this region, so your gene will become inactive. So the segment when you are inserted in it, your gene is going to become inactive. And whether while you are incorporating your EcoR1 site, by that incorporation of that site, if the gene become inactive, then your job is lost. So your gene should be functional in normal condition, and when you are inserting your gene, only in that condition it should stop its function. So simply you can say that introduction of the EcoR1 okay, so further it's not just that you have to incorporate one restriction sites. So you need to, it's a property of your gene that it must be a multiple cloning site. So multiple cloning site, what you can do, you can additional restriction site into LAGZ gene can be introduced. Synthesizing short oligonucleotide polylinkers. So polylinkers being introduced then. What it consists of? It consists of a series of restriction site that has EcoR1 sticky ends. So at the both end, and this is a linker, you can say. And this linker where you're introducing, this linker you are introducing at the EcoR1 site. And where is that EcoR1 site? EcoR1 site that you introduced, you can see that you generate after the modification. This is the at this site. Okay, so this is a site where you generated the EcoR1 site. Now this EcoR1 site, you treat it with the EcoR1 and incorporate one linker in between. So one segment you have incorporated here. So that polylinker is going to have restriction site for different genes, and these are the, I can say, so EcoR1 is going to be at both the end, BAMH1, BAMH1, SCA, ACC, HINC, PST, SAL, ACC, HINC. So these are the most common restriction that you're going to utilize. So using all these, you can clone it. So consider, leading this is going to, you're going to change the name. So once you incorporate this name, so now next name is going to be MP7. So between this MP2 to MP7, many changes are going to be there. So, but so the way you incorporated various restriction sequences. So this poly sequence was inserted into EcoR1 site of M13 MP2, give the M13 MP7. Okay. So more complex vector with the 4 possible cloning site EcoR1, BAMH1, SAL1, and PST. So this is the way where you incorporate. So as you can see, this is the site in. So this is the EcoR1 site, as I showed you in the previous slide also. At this site, you have incorporated the restrictized the EcoR1 and using the ligase, a polylinker, and this polylinker is going to contain your restriction sequences and it's going to be inserted. So this is a site where this polylinker you are going to insert. Okay. So polylinker is digested so that does not totally disrupt the LexG genes. The reading frame is maintained throughout the polylinker. So polylinker you are generating in a way that it should not. So here, as we mentioned, that we want to use this site, this location for insertional inactivation of your LexG gene. But when you are incorporating your polylinker, it should not disturb the gene activity. So this polylinker you designed in a way so that your frame, the reading frame of your enzyme is going to be maintained. So when you are going for screening, it can show you. So in this way you incorporate the function is still a functional, the altered beta is still produced. So first thing, you changed the EcoR1 site. One modification, this leads to MP2, and then introduce polylinker, that is a MP7. So in the both MP2 to and MP7, this change in this your vector doesn't lead to the inactivation of your LexG gene. So your LexG gene is still functional. Okay. So but now you are having a multiple cloning site in it, and these multiple cloning site you can use for the further cloning experiment. So now further more modification is there, that's called the plasmid and M13 vector, the combination of these two. So the combination of these two is going to help you in a different way. Means whether you want to use the activity of the plasmid, you can go for the plasmid, and where you want to do for the activity of your viruses required, you can go with that. So such type of the vector are called the mixture of the plasmid and the phases. You call them the plasmid. Okay. So M13 were successful for the production of single-stranded version of the clone gene, but suffer one disadvantage. There is a limit of size. DNA fragment can be cloned 1500 base pair as a maximum capacity. Now the fragment up to 3 kb. So this is the limitation. So to get around this, so you go further modification, a hybrid vector that you are calling the plasmid. So what you are doing in it, you are combining M13 genome with a plasmid DNA. So if you combine these two, so now you are going to have beauty of both the things. How you did it? So this plasmid was developed by mixing your M13 genome with the PUC8. So PUC8, you all know that. So by midterm by PUC8, 1300 base pair fragment of M13 genome. So these two you have combined. So what is going to help you? It will help you in getting a single-stranded genome, and also it will help you in cloning bit larger fragment. So this piece of M13 DNA contains single sequence organelles where the enzyme that convert normal dsm13 molecule into single-stranded DNA before secretion to new Phage particle. So the main aim of having this M13 genome is that it is going to produce a single-stranded DNA. So when you want to yield a single-stranded DNA, you need a property of your M13. Okay, so this single sequence is still functional even though it detached from the rest of the M13 genome. So M13, you have removed other part of the M13 genome that you required for the other purpose. Okay, so the name of this vector is going to be EMBL8. Okay, so EMBL is European Molecular Biology Laboratory. So this vector was designed by EMBL, so that's why we're calling it as a EMBL8. Okay, so this is going to be brought into the single-stranded DNA and secrete as a defective Phage particle. So it is Phage particle going to be defected one. So when we are saying defected one means it is not going to infect a new cells. It is being released, Phage particle being released outside, but they are not infecting. So what for the infection you have to do? You have to transform artificially to the your host. In the case of the previous Phage, the Phage was there, so that can have all the property in that one, so that it can continue its life cycle. So, but it can not do. It is a defective Phage particle. Okay, so conversion of PMB into how it is going to occur. So all necessary is that E. coli use the host PMBL98 cloning experiment, subsequently infected with the normal M13, act as a helper Phage. So this is going to M13 region that is there, M13 replication protein, and this replication protein is going to replicate, and it is going to held in within the capsid protein and will be released. So in this vector is going to help you in getting a single-stranded DNA. And if your experiment desired single-stranded DNA, you can go with it. And you start treating with the restricted endonucleases, you can separate or you can take out the gene that you need. Or simply you can say that it is going to help you in producing your probes. So if you want to design if you want to get a probe, so for that what you can do, you simply, your probe must be single-stranded. So they can help you in getting the probes or single-stranded DNA. So this is all about your thing. So now next thing is about the bacteriophage lambda phage based vector. So the lambda phage is a double-stranded one, and size is going to be a bit larger. So what you do? Two problems had been solved before vector based on the lambda phage to be developed. So lambda phage molecule can be increased in size by only about 5%, representing addition of 3 kb of new strand. So here the problem is still there, as we can say in the case of M13 phage, we can clone only small amount of DNA. So, but here you can do just 3 kb, but our aim is to have it more. So if total size of lambda phage is going to be more than 52 kb, then it is not going to package. So the size of the lambda phage DNA, as when we are talking about the lambda phage, it is 49 kilobase pair. So then the maximum size can go up to 52. So this is an issue that we need to resolve because we want to clone a bit larger particle. So this thing is to be we need to get it. And so what we do in that case, so the lambda genome is so large that the more than one recombinant sequence is virtually every restriction on it. So one more thing is that so you can't one property that restriction nucleus you need, you don't need multiple clone, means multiple site for a single enzyme. So you need only one site for one enzyme, but so here you can get more than one recombinant sequence also. Restrictions cannot be used to cleave the normal phage molecule in a way that will allow insertion of new DNA, because the molecule would be cut several small fragments that would be very unlikely to reform a viable lambda genome when you religate it. So that's why you need to work twice on this bacteriophage. One, size is so large, so you have to check, you have to search the regions which you can remove. And second thing, where you found that unnecessary restriction sequences are there, those also you have to remove. So that while you using it for the cloning, it should produce one enzyme should produce only one cut, or if it is producing two cut, then only in that case when you want to remove the segment. Okay, so that is a thing that we need to keep in mind while developing a bacteriophage-based vector. So here you can see. So for ECOR1, there are 6 restriction sites are there. So 6 fragment is going to get when you treat ECOR1 with the E. coli, and when you ligate it, then the ligation is not going to yield what you want. Okay, so now coming to the first thing. So first problem, segment that can be deleted without impairing the viability. So first we need to remove what different regions are there on your lambda genome that you can remove. So that is so the way for developing lambda phage was provided by the discovery of large segment in the central region of the lambda genome that can be removed. So there is a, in case of the M13, it was a small virus. You can't only very small segment was there to remove, but here you are having a very large fragment that you can remove. So how long it is going to removal of all part which are non-essential region in the position 20 and 35 map. So map I will show you. So this what it do? It is going to decrease the size to 15 kilobase pair. So earlier size was 49, remove the 15, so size comes to down to 34. So maximum limit you can go, that is 52. So 15 plus 3, total 18 kb. So now you can clone in this a large segment. So this means you can clone. Okay. So this is by doing it, we make our lambda phage to clone a relatively larger fragment size. Okay, so what it is, the non-essential gene in fact contain most of the genes that involved in integration and excision of lambda phage from E. coli. So this is not an essential property for us. So that's called the prophase. So prophase means lambda phage to get inserted within the host genome. This insertion is not an essential property for us. So this insertion and the excision of prophase being deleted off. Okay, so a delete of lambda genome therefore is non-lysogenic. So what we did, we remove the lysogeny. As we mentioned, the lysogeny is not a required property for a cloning vector. So the cloning vector should be free in the host, and you should come out when you need it. Okay, so that is so this is itself is desirable for cloning. It means reduction of gene need not to be plaque formed. Okay. So these are the season capsid this B2 integration and exchange is all being removed. So now you have removed. So now comes to the selection. So natural selection can be used to isolate lambda phage that lack certain restriction sites. So what is this natural selection? Even a deleted this wherever E is written, you can say it is a lambda. Even a deleted lambda genome with non-essential region removed has multiple recognition sites. So second issue is that you need to do it now. You need to work on the second thing, that is the unnecessary restriction site. Okay, so unnecessary restriction site you have to remove. So even deleted lambda genome with non-essential regions removed has multiple recognition sites for most excision in the nucleus. This problem that often encountered when a new vector being developed. So one simple question is that why there are so many restriction sites present in the viral genome? Reason behind is that these restriction enzymes that a cell is going to have, these restriction enzymes designed on the basis of the sequences that are present in your phage genome, because phage are the parasite for viruses. Bacteria do not want phage to survive in them. So that is the restriction enzyme being, that's why we're calling the restriction enzyme the immune system of your bacteria. Okay. So for that, that is why there are so many restriction sequences are present in your bacteriophage. So if just one or two sites needed to be removed, then the technique of in vitro mutagenesis can be used. But In this case, like in case of when you incorporate lecture genes, in lecture genes you change GGTTC to GATTC. So, but here sites are very large, so you need to do some more strategies. So that is going to be in vitro mutagenesis. Was its infancy with the lambda vector when it were developed, not an efficient means of changing only few sites in a single molecule. Natural selection used to provide strain of lambda that lack unwanted restriction sites. So what you are doing, you are graying the lambda phases and isolating it and checking whether restriction site is there or not. So in this, natural selection brought down to play an important role, and you produced a strain which is having limited sites, simply at one site in one virus. So most lambda fast molecules that invade the cell destroyed by the restriction endonuclease. So this is the one, as I mentioned you, that restriction endonuclease is a immune system of your bacteria. So that's why only few survive. So the few survival, those are surviving, they are producing plaques. So why they are surviving? They are surviving only reason one. Either they are modified in a way that host restriction enzyme not recognizing them, or they got mutated, they lost the restriction sequence in them. Okay, so these mutated phases, which one or more E. coli sites have been lost spontaneously, several cycles of infection will eventually result in lambda molecule that lacks all or most of EcoR sites. So this is the way how you are selecting. So you are continuously selecting the plaque and reinventing them, then allowing it to grow. So this multiple cycle of your infection of the lambda phases help you in eliminating the restriction sites. So this is a simple depiction how you are going to deal with. So using the natural selection, lambda phase lacking equinox is going to be survived. So the first you can see in the first one. So there are the 5 restriction sites are there in the normal DNA phase. So when you insert this normal lambda DNA, simply means you have removed unnecessary genes. So that unnecessary, after removal the unnecessary one, what you are doing now you're infecting lambda. So when you infect this, you will find that only one is surviving. So from this plaque, virus are there, and you check it. So how many restriction sites are there? So now you can see that only 3 are there in it. So then what you did, you again pick this and then again infected to the next E. coli. And you found that 3 are surviving. Out of these 3, you will again check. So how many restriction sites are there? So all 3, and you found that each one there is no equivalent restriction site or one equivalent restriction site. That's done your job. So this is a way how you are removing restriction sites. So two way you can do: one, site directed mutagenesis, and second is the natural selection. So in natural selection, simply virus evolve itself to sustain in bacteria. Now next job is the job insertion and replacement vector. So this insertion and replacement means you are going to, for screening purpose, you want to make your vector so that when you insert it or replace it. So once the problem posed by the packaging constraint and by the multiplexing site has been solved, the way is now open for the development of different lambda-based problem vectors. So first two classes of lambda vector produce more lambda insertion and lambda replacement. So replacement insertion means you are inserting in it. Replacement means earlier one segment was there, and when you insert your gene, that segment is going to be removed. Or simply you can say substitution. You are substituting it. First, we will talk about the insertion. Insertion means you are inserting. With an insertion vector, a large segment of non-essential region being deleted and two arms ligated together. The insertion vector poses at least one unique restriction sequence site into it, which you are cloning, your DNA is going to be inserted. The size of DNA fragment that individual vector can carry depends on the extent of which non-essential region have been deleted. So whatever the last sequence you are, so in that, as mentioned, up to 15 you can remove, so 18 you can clone. So two popular insertion vector are lambda GT10 and lambda ZP2. So what you are doing in it? So this is a normal lambda fuzz, 49 kb is there, non-essential things are there. So non-essential things you leave it, and that is going to be your vector. So this is an insertion. You can insert more, whatever the size of amount of DNA you need to insert in this vector. Okay, so first example I mentioned lambda GT10. So what would it have? It can carry up to 8 kb of new DNA. So when you are saying 8 kb, it means only 5 kilo base pair of your non-essential segment you have removed. Okay, so DNA inserted into unique eCodon sites located at the CI genes. Insertion inactivation of this gene means the recombinant are distinguished and clear rather than the turbid plaque. So what you're doing here, the quality of plaque is going to be a determining factor. So insertion inactivation, what you are doing, you are having a CI gene. So CI gene is going to help in the nature of the plaque, whether the plaque is clear or a turbid. Next vector is lambda ZPA2. So what is the property of this in? It can carry 10 kb of DNA into 6 resident sites within a polylinker, inactivates the lambda Z gene carried by the vector. So now what you're doing in this, you have incorporated further features. As you have incorporated the polylinker in case of the M13, here also you have incorporated a polylinker. Polylinker is going to have multiple restriction sites, and also you have incorporated a LXZ gene, so that is going to help you in selection. What color plaque you are getting? So wherever virus is going to be there, plaque is going to be of a blue in color, where recombinant gives a rather blue color plaque on XGAR. Okay, so this is the way how you have to. Yeah. So simply you can say you have deleted and lambda Z gene, and at this place you are going to insert, and insertion inactivation of lambda Z gene is going to be there. Next is the replacement. So what you are going to do, a replacement vector has two removed site. So you are going to replace, means so reaction site, two reaction site must be there, then only you can replace. So when you cut it, so a segment is going to be removed, and when the segment is going to be removed, now in between that you are going to ligate your segment that you want to clone. These flanks, a segment of DNA is replaced by DNA to be cloned. So here the replacement you are performing, that is called the replacement vector. So simply you can say that depending on size that you are removing and the size you are inserting. Often replacement vectors stuffer fragment carries additional restriction site used to cut up to into small pieces. So it on reinsertion during the cloning experiment will be very unlikely. Replacement vectors are generally designed to carry larger pieces of DNA than the insertion vector, because you are replacing, you are removing a larger segment so that they can handle a larger fragment of DNA also. Okay, so recombinant selection often based on the size, with non-recombinant vectors be too small to be packaged into the lambda phase head. So simply you can say that here that you are even the selection wise, you don't need like your lecture gene type of things. What you are, when you cut it down, your phage is going to become smaller in size. When it is going to be smaller in size, will become difficult to package itself. Wherever it is going to be the inserted one, that will be packaged because its packaging size is within the limit. You can't go with a very large deviation, like as mentioned, the 49 kb is the size of the vector, so you can't deviate like that. You can't go with you can like your vector is going to be 20 kilobase pair, and the 20 kilobase pair is going to get packaged. So in that way, the range should not be very high. You can't go out of the range. So size cannot be very small and cannot be very large also. Example of this is lambda EMBL4. Again, the EMBL is from the your lab. So wherever if you're writing lambda, it means it's based on the lambda phase. If you're writing M13, it is based on the M13 phase. If you're writing P, it is a plasmid-based vector. What it have? It carry up to 20 kb insert DNA by replacing segment flanking by the ECOR1, MH1, SAL1 sites. So the flanking regions are there. You can remove them up to 20 kb. So up to 20 kb you can clone. Any of these three resting enzyme can be used to remove stuff or fragment. So the fragment that you want to remove, you can any of these, because so this means both the flanking ends ECORN, BMH1, Salmon sites. So two resting sites for these enzymes are going to be there within your vector. DNA fragment with variety of sticky ends can be cloned. Recombinant selection vector can be can be screened on the basis of size, or can utilize SPI phenotype selection recombinants. Okay, so this is the types of the vectors. So cloning experiment with the how you perform the experiment. So simply as this is a vector, you clone it and allow it the ECOR1, ligate it, so simply, and then you're going to transfect it. So this is the way how you have to move it. So insertion vector is going to be there. So insertion vector you are going to insert. So they are going to you are not going to replace. So in the insertion vector you have already removed the your non-essential part. So whatever the part you have removed, only about up to that you can clone in this vector. So treat with the restriction enzyme, you are going to have fragment, then add the ligase and with your fragment, and then fragment will be cloned. And now this recombinant molecule you can transfect. After transfection, it will lead to, when this phase will grow, it will go to produce you plaque. So plaque is a region where the growth of the bacteria is not going to be there. So then the replacement one, how to go, how the replacement. So in this replacement you are going to remove. So simply you can see that these two sites are there. So in this both the ends you are going to have new one. So you can new DNA you have to remove, and so they can be generated. Okay, so this is the how this we are going to get. So in between the host sites and the carbon restriction sites are there in it. You can clone your gene and you can go with the lambda phase replacement vector based experiment. Okay, I think so. Next is the cosmid. So here, in case of the M13 phase, when you combine plasmid and the M13, we gave name cosmid. So here the lambda phase. So lambda phase based on the host sites. So when you're combining the property of lambda phase and the plasmid, we give the term cosmids. So what you are doing in it? So the final most sophisticated types of lambda phase is cosmid. Cosmid are the hybrid phase DNA molecule and the bacterial plasmid. Their design centers the fact that enzyme that package lambda molecule into phase protein coat need only co-sites into it in order to do the function. So what you are doing when you are functioning, you want to pack. So here our aim is for the packaging. So for the packaging, what you need only the host sites. For the replication, you don't need the host sites. And also for the packaging enzymes, packaging protein also you don't need. So what you can do, you can remove everything, just keep the host sites. So when you do it, so host site is going to be you can carry your around 52 kilobase pair of DNA. Okay, so you can replace a large fragment in that case. So in that case, what you are going to do, you are going to utilize both the property. You are utilizing the property of lambda phase and you are going to utilize the property of plasmid. And you are also modifying the host. So host is going to cater you for the packaging job. So cosmid is basically a plasmid that carry a host site. So this is the only thing you can say that PUC18. In the PUC18, you introduce the host site. Then it is going to become a cosmid. So this is a host site that you have incorporated. It also needs a selectable marker, ampicillin. So everywise the plasmid vector properties are there in it. So plasmid origin of replication is going to it. So lambda genes are they lack lambda genes, so do not produce plaques. So there is no plaque is going to be there. Instead of a colony and are formed by selective media, just as a plasmid vector. Okay. So thing is that by you're making it, you can carry a larger gene. So these host sites are going to help in catering a large fragment of your DNA. Okay, so this is a cosmid. So the example of the cosmid is PJB8. So P for plasmid, JB8 is your cosmid. So cosmid also you can say is a plasmid class of vector, but just it contain the co-site. So cosmid is open at its unique resting site, new DNA fragment inserted, ligation is carried out so that the catenations are formed. So catenation when the co-site is into restricted digested, then lead to the packaging. Providing inserted DNA in right size in vitro packaging cleaves the co-sites, placed the recombinant plasmid into the mature phase particle. The lambda phase are then used to infect E. coli culture through the porous plaque are not formed. Infected cells are plated into selective medium and antibiotic resistance colonies are grown. So all colonies of recombinant has non-recombinant linear cosmids are too small to be packaged into the lambda head. Okay, so this is how you can screen also. This you can see how you are going to do it with. So when you restriction diet digest, it become linear. Insert the gene, ligate it. So now when it's going to continuously long, catenation is going to be there. Some alternate cross site is going to be there in it. Then in vitro packaging. So packaging you are performing in vitro, not the within the cell. So just you digest it and do the capsid formation. Infect the E. coli, then you are going to have colonies. So each colony is going to have your plasmid into it. It is not going to give the plaque formation. It's not your vector host is not going to. The lytic cycle that we mentioned, lytic and lysogenic cycle, that is not going to occur in it. Your vector is going to replicate as a plasmid, not as a virus. Okay, so lambda and other. Okay, so I think our time is running off. So I'm stopping here for today's. If you would like to ask any question regarding the vector that we have discussed, please ask. Any questions?
No, sir, no questions.
Okay, so then please turn on your camera while I call your name. Adish? Adish? Ayushi?
Present, sir.
Demetrius?
Present, sir.
Devanshi? Ishita?
Present, sir.
Janvi?
Present, sir.
Kshitij?
Present, sir.
Kshitij? Anaswini?
Present, sir.
Namrita? Nandini?
Present, sir.
Nehal?
Sir.
Rupal?
Present, sir.
Sahiba? Sanjana? Sanjana? Shakti?
Present, sir.
Tridev? Vanchika?
Present, sir.
Vivek? Vivek? Yukta?
Present, sir.
Yuvraj? Thank you all. Stay safe, stay happy. See you again on Monday.
Thank you, sir.
Excuse me, sir.
Sir, excuse me.
इसलिए मजेगा क्या क्या कराना है इतना सिंपल ही है सिंपल तो complex होता है।